Hey peeps, this is Alicia Hughes here. Welcome to In the Background, career before life, career and kudos, where we celebrate those who work tirelessly in the background, making dreams and ideas come alive. Listen, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more content, okay? You want more of this? You got to like, share and subscribe. Okay, listen. It's all good. Right, so today we have someone special, all right? He's my uncle, Floyd Hughes. He's a storyboard and concept artist, graphic novelist, and a professor at the Pratt Institute School of Design in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah? He's done films such as Hellraiser, I Am Legend, The Five Bloods, what else? BlacKkKlansman, Marvel comics and just many more. So much work this guy's done. Okay, just so you know, when he comes on, he's a bit of a character like me. Well, he's worse than me, but he's a bit of a character, so don't be alarmed at all. Yeah, just take it in. Right, so if you have any questions, by the way, just email me at elisha@tahila.production.co.uk or in the live chat. If you go in the live chat, we'll get your questions, okay? Right, before we go any further, let's look at some of the work that he's done. Check this out. Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome my uncle, Professor Floyd Hughes. Hey, Uncle Floyd.
Hello, Alicia. Hello, everyone.
How you doing? You all right?
Okay, a bit hot.
Yeah, me too.
Tired.
Cool, yeah. I hear you. How you feeling about this?
It's strange. I've never done anything. I've done lots of things, but this is completely different.
I hear you. So that kind of explains and goes into why I'm doing this. So for years, I've been looking on YouTube for interviews of my Uncle Floyd and never found not one. And the other day, a couple of months ago actually, I was watching some interviews and Spike Lee came up and I was like, wait a minute, you know what? We need to have an interview of Uncle Floyd. So I contacted Sheehan Roberts, the founder of Tahila Production, and he is also He was a director for Oh Happy Day on OHTV, and we did a couple of projects together. One of them being a short film, 3 Times a Lady. And I asked him, would he do a live stream? And he was 100% on it. And then I asked Uncle Floyd, and Uncle Floyd was like, "Why did you take so long?" I don't know. But yeah, so now we are here. We are here and I'm so happy. So Uncle, are you ready to start?
I am ready to start.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what? Before we go any further, I'm going to need some help, you know. I'm going to need some help with this. So let's just bring someone in.
Ooh.
This is Nathan Hughes. He is my cousin. And he's Uncle Floyd's nephew. And
hey,
I'm.
Hey, Uncle Floyd.
Yeah.
So I've got to move over now so we can fit in, you know.
Well, I'm trying to figure out where I'm meant to go with this.
Good Lord.
Okay.
Move your camera, Nate. There you go. There you go. Perfect. Even though your head is big, but don't worry about it. We still love you.
I know, man. I'm intrigued.
Okay. Getting a bit of an echo as well. Maybe if you've got YouTube on as well, maybe you should turn that off.
That's perfect.
With the
Yeah.
Better?
Yeah, so cool. Right. So yeah, this is my cousin, Uncle Floyd's nephew, and I just wanted him to present with me, to be honest. And he,
Great.
yeah, I wanted him to be a surprise for you, Uncle. But you didn't look so surprised at all. Did you know?
I had absolutely no idea.
Excellent. I'm a good secret keeper, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's go with that.
All right, let's go. All right, so we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to start from the beginning. Tell me what you think of this picture when you see it, Uncle Floyd. What do you think of this picture when you see it?
I think my brother is an excellent photographer.
Which one?
Your Uncle Hakim.
Oh, he took that picture, right?
Yeah, he took that picture. That picture's from around 1971. Or maybe, 1971, when I was in the Girls. And I don't know if you're hearing it properly, so I can think the electronic noises. I sound like a Dalek, like,
Yeah, this is what happens when you do it live.
noises?
But we're working through it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, this is what happens when you do it live.
Oh.
We're working through it.
Yeah, we're going to work through it.
Okay. When I was a Cub Scout, back then, I used to take 2 kids to Cubs with me.
Uh-huh.
And their father was Nick Joseph. And Nick Joseph was several of my brother's driving instructors. And Nick Joseph is actually Artul Extrapol, who holds the medal at the end of the first Star Wars film, A New Hope. He was actually like an actor, and he held the medals there. So he's actually in the very first Star Wars movie.
And
he held the medals there. So he's actually in the very first Star Wars movie.
Oh, cool.
Okay. Okay.
So, Uncle Floyd, what was it like growing up in the 70s and 80s, and how did that influence your creative style and your prospects?
Well, I had the advantage of siblings, parents and siblings who were incredible storytellers. So they would come home from school and they would say what had happened at school. They would go to the movies and then they would transcribe the movies that they'd seen to us who were younger. And probably in the early 70s or late 60s, Hakim, your Uncle Hakim, had a copy of the Goldfinger soundtrack. And he'd seen the film several times and used to play us the score and tell us every incident that had happened. It was so vivid and visual that I would go to school the next day telling the kids that I'd seen this film and describe this film perfectly just based on a description. So that was good. In the 70s and 80s were clearly a very fertile time for creative things, both in comics, in movies, music. There was a lot going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both in comics, in movies, music. There was a lot going on. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, Uncle, do you remember your first sketch?
The first drawings I remember doing. The first drawings I remember doing, the first sketches, I was obsessed with logos. With logos and fonts before I was drawing people. And I used to draw the bat symbol. And for that, I used to draw the Saint logo for the TV show The Saint.
Okay,
I used to draw ICI. There's a company called ICI. I used to draw their logo. Philips, His Master's Voice, HFV. So I used to draw a lot of logos and symbols. So it's surprising that I didn't go so much for graphic design as much as I did for illustration.
Okay, cool. So you know what? I must admit, when I was younger, growing up, I didn't go into your. I don't know about. Well, Nate, I think you said the same thing, didn't you? We didn't really go into your room very often, hardly ever. But when I did go into your room, it was always dark, and it had the easel. and you had that long light switch from the ceiling, right?
Yeah.
And you had that. I'm sure you had a long light switch from the, and then there's one light on the easel, and it was always dark in that room though. It was always dark in that room. With the cord. So that's just one of my memories of you. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, it was because I was like 3, 4 at the time. It was always a room that we were being ushered out of. It was like this forbidden portal that smelled like paint, and it was just this mysterious land where you knew that things were just being created in. And it was something that we were very drawn to.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that.
Okay, one second, guys. There's a technical hitch. It's people.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, Nate, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so I've got another picture for you, and I just want you to let me know and the viewers know what comes to mind when you see it.
Oh boy. Okay.
It's not my beautiful face. There we go.
Okay. Well, that's me at 17 or so. That's Jet, the family cat on my lap. And next to me is the Art of Star Wars, which was a portfolio of Star Wars concept art by the concept artist Ralph McQuarrie. He did the first 3 films, and he did a few other films as well as that. He did Nightbreed. And just to give you a little story, I was obsessed with Ralph McQuarrie and his artwork, and when I was 16, 17, I was obsessed with Star Wars. And many years later, when I was in the field working in film as a designer, I was offered the opportunity to work with Ralph McQuarrie on Nightbreed. So this was the greatest thing that had happened to me career-wise. I was very excited, looked forward to meeting him and working with him. And I decided to come, because I'm here in America. I decided to come to New York for a little break between the film I just finished, which was Hellraiser 2, and Nightbreed. And when I was here, my cousin Joy specifically, kind of introduced me to my wife. She's my wife now, but I just met her here. And instead of coming back to England to work on the film, I decided to work in a warehouse in Brooklyn packing boxes, and didn't go back. Basically ended my film career, so to speak. And it was the best decision I ever made. 32 years and 3 children later, definitely the best decision I ever made.
So going back to that time, going back to that picture, can you remember that photo actually being taken?
Do I remember the picture taken? No, believe it or not, that's not fake. I think I actually was asleep. I'm not even sure who took the picture.
So what did your life look like at that time, at that period in time?
At that time, I guess most of my siblings were getting married and moving out. So there weren't that many of them around. So I was getting more space in the house to work. I was becoming more certain that I wanted to work in comics, and work in art, work in film. It was an exciting time. The comic The X-Men was being done by John Byrne and Chris Claremont, which was like a golden age for that title. The Star Wars, Close Encounters, Superman the movie, all of these things were coming in terms of science fiction. It was also a scary time. It was a scary time because there was a lot of conflict in England at the time. Growing up, there was like racial unemployment, and it made it very scary moving up into the world. So that was also an intimidating time. But also, I'd also become involved with fandom, which was like meeting other kids my age from different backgrounds who were into comics, who wanted to do fanzines and then graduate into being professional comic artists. So it was an exciting time, even though the escapism part of it was exciting. The reality was quite frightening and intimidating. When you start to finally get a grip on politics, and you start to understand things like apartheid, and you start to understand sexual politics and a lot of things, it can be overwhelming for a young person, I'd say. Overwhelming for a young person.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, so listen, before we go any further, please, I just want to talk to the viewers. Don't forget, if you have any questions for Floyd Hughes, please email me, elisha@tahilahproduction.co.uk. Yeah, Elisha, ELESHA @tahilahproduction.co.uk. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty.
Okay.
Yeah, let's talk about. Let's talk about the iconic film Hellraiser.
Okay.
The Hellraiser iconic film. What was it like working on the film, Uncle Floyd?
Okay, it was a terrific experience. When there's an artist that I admired very much, an illustrator named Chris Achilleos. And Chris Achilleos introduced me to Clive Barker. This would have been around 1985, 86.
Right.
And we met a couple of times after that, and I said to him, he was doing a signing. I was working at Forbidden Planet in London, and he was trying to pick some film scripts. And I said, if you ever need someone to help you out with some free storyboards just to help you sell a project, he said, I'd happily do it. And he actually took me up on it. And a few months later, he called, and I went to meet him, and I met with a group of other people, a special effects crew called Image Animation, and we read the script for Hellraiser. We went through the script, and we went through strange books of extremist bondage and the remains of accident victims, so that we get an idea of how far we were going with this film. And that's when Clive first gave the tagline for the film, which was "There are no limits." So basically, it was go as far as your imagination will take you. Right. Now, it wasn't the first film that I'd worked on, but it was the first film that I actually had such a close contact in terms of being. I was working directly with the writer-director, Clive Barker, and wonderfully talented people, and they were all young. Like the entire special effects crew. I was 24 years old, and I was one of the oldest people there. Some of them were still in their teens. They'd just come off of working on a Little Shop of Horrors, doing some effects. And they were very young, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. The enthusiasm, the energy, everything. Yeah. If I may also add.
Okay, wonderful.
Before
we go any further,
if I may just add something.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Uncle.
It was also quite disturbing because at some point you started to feel that there was something wrong with this project, as if it was fundamentally evil, because it was going so far in terms of the themes that it was covering. I'd never seen anything like it in a horror film. It was way more sophisticated than most horror films that I've ever seen, and it was ugly but brilliant. I mean, I thought it was brilliant at the same time. So
that's added to its iconography, really.
Yeah, I've seen. Can you guys hear me without the delay now?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me without the delay? People are saying there's a crazy delay, so the delay's gone. Yeah. Excellent. Right. So let me just say, Uncle Floyd, what happened in Liverpool?
What do you mean? What happened in Liverpool? Right. Okay. Right. Specifically regarding what? Daddy asked me. He said, "Ask your uncle what happened in Liverpool." Okay, I'm not sure.
Daddy asked me to ask you what happened in Liverpool.
Okay, I'm not sure exactly what he's referring to, but I actually had a friend. I'd say, look, apart from my siblings, all of my siblings I consider my mentors, all of them. I have learned so much. I have learned so much about being a human being, being a decent human being from my siblings, and so all of that. And even creatively, I learned a lot from my siblings. But outside of my immediate siblings, there were two people that I would put, 2 or 3 people I would put high on the list of being mentors. There's a very good friend of mine named Richard Ashford who lives in America. And there is Wayne Muhammad. I don't know if you know who Wayne Muhammad is. My sister went to school with him. And Wayne Muhammad was one of my mentors.
Wait, before you go any further. I think you thought I said, who are your mentors? But I actually said to you, my dad said, what happened in Liverpool?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Right. Okay, so one of those people, one of those mentors is, he passed away 3 years ago, 2 years ago, is a man named Bob Wakelin. Now, I was a fan of his way before I met him. Well, actually, I met him when I was about 14, after being a fan of his. Right. And then about 4 or 5 years later, we became friends. He was a customer at Thought They Were in Golden Eyed, which was a bookstore that I worked at. And we became friends, and he lived in Toxteth in Liverpool. So I used to spend a lot of time in Toxteth with Bob, and I learned a lot just watching him work. I learned a lot of airbrushing from both Wayne Muhammad and from Bob. And Bob was one of those mentors that was on the other side, like encouraged me to do things that weren't so good, but adds quality to your life because it gives you more experience. Right. So so I'm not actually sure specifically what your dad means by asking about Liverpool.
Okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. And I hope he doesn't text me back again. I wanted to honour him and let him just get his first question in. But we're going to move forward though. We're going to move forward.
Sorry, just one second.
So Marvel was your lifelong dream and you were asked...
Yeah. Sorry, just 1 second again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make it very quick. Your brother...
go ahead.
Your father... Sorry, your father is the reason that I'm still drawing to this day.
Wow.
So I should point that out. So
really,
yeah, because he was a great artist and he was very encouraging.
That's good. That's really.
I'm sorry. Can you hear that?
Oh, that's really cool. What's that in the background?
It's my wife's phone. It's actually in another room, but it's so low. I could actually put it in the bathroom and shut the door and block it out completely.
People, this is live TV, just in case you
don't it's going to take about another 5 seconds.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Let's move forward.
Yes.
Don't worry about it. All right, cool. So Marvel was your lifelong dream and you were asked to work on projects such as War Machine, Deadpool, Vengeance, Black Bolt, Conan and the Barbarian, and so many more. Do you remember how you felt when you were asked the first time to work for Marvel?
Okay, that happened. That's a two-pronged question in some ways. The very first time I worked for Marvel, I worked for Marvel UK, and that was a thrill because when I was 11 years old, and between 11 and 14 or so, I used to visit the offices of Marvel UK at 52 High Holborn, rooms 108 to 110. See, I still remember that.
Wow.
And that was back in the early 70s. Then years later, I think it was on my 19th birthday that I did my first ever job for Marvel UK, and I was commissioned to do a poster for Marvel UK by a gentleman named Hassan Yousaf. And Hassan Yousaf is a councillor for a London borough now. He's a politician now, but he was an editor at Marvel, and he commissioned my first, or an art director. And he commissioned my first thing for Marvel, so that was very exciting to work for Marvel UK. But then when I was in America, through the same person I mentioned earlier, Richard Ashford, I was actually asked to ink an issue of the Avengers. So that was fun because I got to ink it over the person who was my favorite artist when I was a child, Herb Trimpe, who was the first artist of Wolverine. So that was pretty exciting for me.
Right.
Oh. I was going to ask you to kind of go in depth, if you can, just a little bit, develop that a little bit more. Mm-hmm. What was it actually like working for Marvel UK?
Marvel UK? Mm-hmm. Marvel UK was not as exciting as Marvel US in the sense that I did a few posters for them. And that was it. I didn't do much work for Marvel UK, and as much fun as it wasn't the same as working for the American side. It was no disrespect, but it was the American one was when I said, "Yeah, I've really done it. I've really done what I set out to do when I was 5 years old." So it wasn't the American. So,
wow. Yeah. So why did you use a pseudonym when you worked for Marvel? Which, by the way, peeps, was Reggie Jones. Type it in Google, you see it, Reggie Jones. Why did you use a pseudonym?
There's no hiding from us, Uncle. There's no hiding.
Okay, well, my middle name is Reginald Jones.
No.
And most of the work, not all of it, but most of the work I did for Marvel, I penciled it, or I did the breakdowns, or I did the inks, or I did, it wasn't all my work. So I basically said, okay, this isn't mine. The end result's not going to be my work. So I will not put my name on it, but I will put my name on it. So Reggie Jones is my name. But I thought if I'm going to put Floyd Hughes on something, it's going to be something that is much more representative of what I do. So,
which is a brilliant segue into one of my favorite products from you, Hellhound, the Redemption Quest. I love it. It's something that it was cover to cover, something that I just was so enthralled by and engaged by, and I just need you to really tell me about it. Tell us about it.
Okay, right. This Hellhound was a product of a Marvel's adult imprint, their creator-owned imprint, rather, not adult, their creator-owned imprint, which was Epic Comics, which means that the creators owned it. And a writer, very good writer named John Miller, had actually created the property, and they needed an artist to illustrate it. And I was very surprised because when the contracts came, John Miller had granted me 50% ownership, which was very unusual because he had created it already. So, but he still said, okay, you visualized it, we're 50-50. So that was really good. That was very nice as well. And it was fun doing it. It was based on the legend of Robert Johnson, who sold his soul to the devil to play the blues. And the main regret I had about it is that I didn't get to do the job I wanted to do because I started on it just when my first child was born. So, and I was still working part-time in a warehouse. I was working part-time in a warehouse. I was doing, I think I was doing Vengeance for Marvel Comics Presents, maybe, or Ghost Rider. And I took this job on as well. So I didn't get to put in the amount of time and effort that I wanted to do as good a job as I wanted to. And it was also working completely from John's script, which was a great script. So I'm not knocking it, but I didn't get to, I didn't get as much creative input as I would want to normally. But still, it was a very good script. I enjoyed doing it. And if there's anything I regret, is that I didn't get to put enough time in it to do as good a job as I wanted.
So if in the fullest of time you was to get the opportunity to resurrect it, to kind of push forward with it, what would you like to see happen with it? I mean, I want to know your casting ideas. Would you want it as a feature film? Would you want it on Netflix as an episodal thing? Like, how would you do it if you had the reins to really push forward with it?
Strangely enough, enough, there was actually a show in the early 2000s that was clearly based on it. I can't even remember what it was called, and I never saw an episode, but I had a couple of friends tell me about it, and I think John knew about it as well.
Right.
There was a TV show that definitely did, but they were smart enough to keep it distanced enough that it, that a lawsuit couldn't happen.
Yeah.
So it was, so that was annoying. I would be happy with anything done with it. I would be happy with a chance to revisit it. John actually did plot a second miniseries.
No way.
But that didn't happen. So I would love to revisit. I would very much love to revisit the characters that I've worked on before, just to do a better job on them than what I did.
You would want to do another graphic thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I would like to draw it again. I mean, I'd love to see it in another format. I'd love to see it as a film. I'd love to see it novelized or whatever. But most important, I would love another crack at illustrating the character and doing it right this time.
Uncle Floyd, who's your favorite artist and why?
Okay, that's a hard
I've never
one.
heard you talk about your favorite artist before.
That's a difficult question to answer because, especially because it could be a painter, it could be a comic book artist, it could be, if I was to be completely honest, in terms of inspiring me for my entire life and the fact that I still get excited when I see his work, it would have to be Jack Kirby.
Wow.
Because Jack Kirby is one of the first names I remember from being a little kid.
And what work has Jack Kirby done?
Sorry?
Jack Kirby.
Yeah, Jack Kirby did everything. Jack Kirby was the first artist for the X-Men, the Fantastic Four,
Yeah,
the Incredible Hulk, so he was a very important artist in my life, and I was lucky enough to have met him as well. So that was really good. So I would say he's definitely my favorite artist.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So bringing it up to date with one of the most popular films out, BlacKkKlansman. You've got Spike Lee. You've got John David Washington, who's killing it. You've got Adam Driver. I mean, everyone who knows anything about this film knows how big it is. What was your contribution to it?
Okay, well, there was only one real action scene in the film. Just to give you a quick, just so that the audience who may not know get a little idea of what a storyboard artist does. A storyboard artist basically visualizes certain scenes for two purposes. One is usually an action scene, so it's to help choreograph the action. And if it works on paper, then it'll probably work on screen. The other thing is for budgeting. If they see what is required, they'll say, okay, there are 2 explosions, so they have to budget for 2 explosions. A car gets damaged, 3 cars get damaged, there's rain. All of these things require special effects and props, which are additional expenses for the producers. So that's another part of what a storyboard artist does. So in BlacKkKlansman, there's only one real action sequence, and that's when the car gets blown up at the end. So that was the scene that I storyboarded. I got called from Spike, and I was given the script. One thing that I like is that he always gives me the entire script to read. He doesn't just say, here's 5 pages. He will give me the entire script to read. So I got to read the entire film and then reached the end, which had the few pages that I had to do. So that was good. And at the time, it was called 311. The film wasn't going to be called 311, but it was like being kept secret. So all I knew was that there was this project called 311. And so that's what I was doing. I didn't know who was going to be in the film. So if you look at my storyboards, no one looks the same as they do. Adam Driver looks completely different, the character that I storyboarded. So you don't know what you're actually doing, but you just choreograph the action as you see it or based on what you read. And one of the things that I love about Spike Lee is that he's incredibly visual. And once I was doing something, I said, how do you want me to do this? And he said, no, because I've worked with him for 12 years now. And he said to
Right.
me, no, I know what Spike Lee would do. I want to know what you would do.
Right.
So he actually gives me freedom
Wow.
to bring my own ideas of what would appear, as opposed to just me trying to do a Spike Lee. I was actually able to do what I would do. And then if there's anything that's good, he would keep it. Anything else he would throw out and do his own thing. I mean, I think he uses storyboards a lot more for the budgeting than he does to help tell the story, because he can tell a story like no one else. I mean, he's an incredible storyteller.
Absolutely.
So
it's so respectful as well that he kind of gives you that.
Yeah.
oh yeah. He's
Yeah.
believe, in spite of the fact that people think that he's like an angry political person, he isn't. So he should be. We should all be angry and political. But he's also an incredibly nice guy, and he's funny, and he's really laid back. For someone who gets a phone call every 15 seconds and everyone is asking him questions all the time, he is still he's on point with everything, and he's always been cordial to me. Never in 12 years, not once have we had a cross word, so
Wow.
I enjoy working with him, and I'm a fan as well, which helps,
Wow, excellent. So let's talk about another Spike Lee joint, and that's the Five Bloods. You did a lot of work on this project, Uncle Floyd.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us about it? What work you did and how it was, and what was it like for you?
Okay, again, it's one of those things that seems a lot more. When you see the film and you see that it was shot, it's set in Vietnam, but it was shot in, I think it was shot in Taiwan, and it was shot in a couple of other places. It's all exciting. I'm still working in Brooklyn, right? I'm not leaving Brooklyn. I had my meeting with Spike in Manhattan, and then I come back to Brooklyn. I sit down at the kitchen table. I work in the. I tend to do a lot of work in the dining room instead of working in the studio, because I like the family dynamic. I like being around the family. So I'm still doing all that stuff. So all the exotic stuff, I don't actually experience. But the script, it was a great script. I was told that there's a touch of the Treasure of the Sierra Madre in it. And the Treasure of the Sierra Madre is one of my favorite films, featuring one of my favorite actors, who is Humphrey Bogart. So I love that film. So this film was connected to it, and it was a Vietnam piece. And Spike actually said to me, read the script, and we don't want to do what everyone's done. We don't want to do Apocalypse Now. We don't want to do Platoon. We don't want to do the previous films that have been set in Vietnam. Let's try something different. So that's what we did. So we tried to have a different approach to it. It was very exciting. There was lots of action in that film. So I storyboarded many, many scenes with many things happening in it. And unfortunately, I didn't go to the locations. I just had a few photographs of locations of where things would be, like the temple at the end where there's a big shootout. I had the location photograph for that. So, but for the most part, you have to imagine what it's going to look like based on what you read. I didn't get photographs of the scenery and the set. I had to imagine that. So that was, but it was a great experience. Again, and my deepest respect to Chadwick Boseman, who of course passed away after that film. Yeah, I regret not having had a chance to meet him, because when they have the premieres, sometimes you get a chance to meet some of the performers. Like at the premiere for BlacKkKlansman, I had the honor of chatting to Harry Belafonte. So that was chat to Harry Belafonte, and as if that wasn't good enough, sitting directly in front of him was Danny Glover.
Big.
So I got to chat to Danny Glover, then I got to chat to John and Nicholas Turturro as well.
Wow.
And it was just really exciting.
Seriously.
Yeah, so when I'm finally on the Five Bloods, because of the COVID and all that, didn't have that kind of premiere, so there was no meeting anyone, no.
Right.
So that's that part of it, though. But he was wonderful in it. Everyone was wonderful in it. I thought it was a wonderful film. I haven't seen it on a big screen. I only saw it on the computer. So I do want to see it again.
Screen, I wanted to ask about what happened to your credit.
My credit? Oh, okay. I believe, because it has happened before. I didn't get credited for Chirac. I mean, I was credited, and I got a great credit for BlacKkKlansman. I got a nice, slow, early credit for BlacKkKlansman. But I think what happened on this is all the work I did early. So all the work I did in many ways pre-production. And then sometimes when the production starts, things change. They cut bits, they change bits, they alter bits. And I'm looking at it on the screen, and I'm seeing what I did, and I'm seeing lots of stuff that I didn't do.
Yeah.
And there's another storyboard artist who was based there. And that storyboard artist got credited. Naturally, I wasn't happy. Why would I be happy that my name isn't on the film? And I did contact Spike about it. I contacted him to say, great film, pity my name isn't there. And he basically completely took full blame for it. He said, this is absolutely my fault. He said, you know, no one else to blame. He said, it's my fault. I'm sorry, you know. And, you know, I accepted it because, you know, this saying, there's no use crying over spilled milk, you know. So, yeah, but, you know, what can you do?
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, we're gonna show some more of your work to the viewers. So check this out. It's brilliant.
Okay, the Highlander stuff took me back. The Highlander stuff was 1984. Yeah, the Highlander stuff was 1984. So that takes me back a long ways. And that again, that was pre-production. So that was pre-production. By the time they started film, there was when I did those storyboards. It wasn't Christopher Lambert playing the character. It was Sting. So it was Sean Connery, Sting. Yeah, Sting was supposed to play that part. Or he was who they were discussing to play that part. So when I storyboarded it with the Sean Connery character, who I didn't know was going to be played by Sean Connery. And the other character who he fights is Clancy Brown, who's a brilliant actor.
Yeah,
but I was
amazing.
My kids were not particularly impressed, but now later on they were, because Clancy Brown is the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob. Right. So it's better.
So was that your biggest achievement, or would you list that? Is there something in your mind that is your biggest professional achievement?
There have been a few things that I was happy to do. As there were things as a creative person, and there were things as a fan. And probably the two things as a fan were, I think we've all frozen. Okay, the things that I enjoyed most as a fan was I did a cover for a comic called Monster Menace. And it was a reprint book. So it was my cover, but inside it was Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko. So that was a thrill. And another thing that excited me as a fan was when there was a tight deadline, and for Marvel Comics Presents that I was doing Ghost Rider and Vengeance for, they suddenly needed an 8-page story done in 1 week. And I got to do the Daughters of the Dragon, who were my favorite characters. So I got to write and pencil and ink and color the story and do the cover. Unfortunately, I only had a week to do it, so I didn't get to do as good a job as I would have wanted to, but at least I still got to do it. And that was a fan thing that I'd wanted to do since the late 70s. So that was fun. But I haven't done the big thing that I want to do yet. That's going to come at some point.
Okay, so really?
Sorry. No, Not yet.
You haven't done a huge project yet?
No, I haven't done the huge project that I want to do. I mean, there are many things that I've created. I have countless layouts, breakdowns, script stories, and things that I've written that I hope to one day get around to. Frankly, I may even end up, someone else may end up drawing them. Because, I've got more stories than I have time. You have to, the thing about being in this field is that it keeps you perpetually mentally young. Your enthusiasm and your energy, because this is the stuff that you grew up loving, film, comics, things like that. So you're still somewhat in that state of mind, even though you're obviously in reality and you have responsibilities, mortgage payments, etc. But you kind of don't see the years as they're going by, and you're getting older, and you've got to say, well, how long am I going to be able to hold out? How long can I still do this stuff? So there's a lot of stuff that I've done that hopefully other people will draw.
Okay. So Michaela, your niece, who's in Japan, my sister, she's kind of asked the same question. The next question that I'm about to ask, but she said, who inspired you when you were a child, and who inspires you now?
Okay, when I was a child, and this is it's one of those answers that's going to sound fake in some ways when you'll hear when I finish it. Who inspired me when I was a child were my brothers, my brothers Hakim and my brother Junior, your dad, because they drew, and they drew well, and they were really into comics, and we all drew. And actually, your Auntie Jem has become an excellent artist. I mean, she's really good. And
absolutely.
She does sculpting, and she does painting, and she does everything.
She's really good.
So we all got it in us, but not everyone pursued it. But I pursued it, mostly influenced by Hakim, who stopped when I was about 12. He stopped drawing, and he was really into his photography, and he literally gave me his sketchbooks. But Junior continued drawing for a little bit longer, and he was very creative, very fertile, and he kept me going. I just continued wanting to draw until basically I was standing on my own 2 feet, doing it by myself. So that was my inspiration when I was young. My inspiration as an adult now, believe it or not, is my son, Solomon. Solomon is so much better than I was when I was his age.
Yeah, Solomon
he is
so creative.
much better than I was his age. I despise him. Right? He is so good, and he's 19, and he's going to become so much better. And it's that there are things that I know that he doesn't know because he's still on the learning curve. But the difference between he is not easily satisfied with what he does. He wants to get better and better and better. He will take the time to do it, finish it, and move on. He is going to do amazing things, and I don't even know in what field. Right now, he likes comics, he enjoys comics, but he's studying graphic design. And I think he's just going to end up doing wonderful things. So I'm looking forward to that. So he kind of inspires me now to... I'm not going to let this Johnny come lately come along and show me up. In fact, one of my colleagues at Pratt looked at something Solomon did and then looked at me and said, "Better than you," which was pretty annoying, But there you go.
So going from someone who is
you must have been upset about that. But I must say,
so go for it.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's a delay on my side. So when I'm talking, you guys don't worry about it. Just go ahead, Nate. Do your thing.
I was just going to say that coming from someone who's at the beginning of their career and someone who's thriving in the middle of it, you can answer this. What exactly does it feel like to see your storyboards on the screen fully realized? What does that feel like?
Well, if I'm going to be honest, it's there's two things. When I was working on Hellraiser, the cinematographer, Robin Vigeon, the director of photography, he called me over once and he said, stand on the box and look through the camera. So I stood through the box and I looked through the camera, and the shot was exactly as I'd drawn it. Wow. That was a great feeling to see that. The downside of that for me personally is the fact that I'm still storyboarding. I should have been making films. Why am I still storyboarding at my age? Why am I still storyboarding? And that upsets me a bit, because I didn't. What happened was I spread myself too thinly. I wanted to do so many different things. I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of painting. I do a lot of I do film, comics, illustration, teaching. Teaching has taken up a lot of my life. I wanted to be a good father and be at home. So there's a lot of work I turned down and stuff. But I should have been making films.
Yeah.
I should have been making films, and instead I've not made any films. And it's not the end, you know. It's not like I'm going to croak in the next few minutes, but that's it. So that's a disappointment to still be. In fact, a friend of mine, whose name I'll mention because he's a brilliant artist, and he's got a graphic novel coming up next year that everyone must buy, called is it Infinity? No, it's not called Infinitum. Tim Fielder. Tim Fielder said to me once, he wants me to succeed in other things because he said he doesn't want my gravestone to read, I was Spike Lee's storyboard artist.
Right.
So I agree.
Wow.
You know, no disrespect to Spike, it's been a pleasure doing that, but that was not where I was supposed to stop. You know.
Okay, so I think you've kind of answered this question already, but can you name two of your role models? I think you've kind of answered it, but I may be wrong.
Okay, well, I answered my inspirations in that. Role models. I'd like to name people as role models, but I think they'd be offended. So, again, in many respects, it's my siblings. My siblings are. I am so proud. I am so proud that I am related to my siblings. They're wonderful, wonderful human beings, and you know, I'm very, very lucky. I have my children are wonderful. My wife is wonderful. My in-laws are wonderful. You know, so this is you know, I feel spoiled in many ways that I can't blame anything that I haven't achieved. I can't turn around and point a finger and say it's anyone's fault, because I've been surrounded by nothing but positive influences. You know, in terms of people who are directly close to me. So, you know, so I guess in many respects, yeah, my role models are people around me who prevent me from going the other way, you know.
So going back something that you mentioned earlier, Uncle Floyd, we were talking about all of these unfinished projects and, you know, unpublicized works. Is there anything in particular that is unfinished or unpublished that really sticks out in your mind? It's almost like Jumanji in the corner. It's just kind of beating at you. It needs to kind of come out.
Okay. One of them will be done by next year, because it has to be done by next year. I did it previously. I did it 9 years ago as a free download. It's a book I did with my daughter, Sojourner. It's a picture book based on our experiences on 9/11, because I experienced it.
One Tuesday in September? Is that?
Yes, one Tuesday in September. So I'm redoing it, but I'm redoing it and painting it and doing another version of it. And it's nice. It's got like a couple of cover blurbs by. It's got a cover blurb by Neil Gaiman, which is good.
No way.
That he did for the old. So that's good, and that's one thing. But the other projects that I really, really am keen on doing, I literally cannot talk about them because I've seen projects that I've worked on in the past You know, and I'm not saying anyone ripped me off. I'm just saying that's just the way it goes. If you don't do it, someone else is going to do it before you do. So the last thing I want to do is put some of these ideas out there for someone to just, even if they don't, you know, they may have a similar idea, and what I add may be just a little tweak that they need. So it would be foolish of me to actually put it out there. But there are several, and they're in different media. You know, they're in motion pictures, television, comics.
Excellent.
You know, different things. Motion pictures, television, comics.
Okay. So, Uncle Flo, what was your lowest point as an artist, and how did you overcome it?
Okay. Okay. Again, this is something that would be understood a lot more by people who are in this field and doing it to and are making a living in this field. This field is it's still a novelty field. It's still a vanity field. It's very exciting. It's very lucky and fortunate, and it's a privilege to be able to draw and be an illustrator and to work in film for a living. That is a great privilege. So I did a book a few years ago that I literally did to help get a down payment for the house that I'm in. And I signed a terrible contract. And I should never have signed that contract, but I did sign that contract, and I did it. There's no other way to say it. I did it for the money. And I didn't like how that felt. I didn't like how that felt. It was the input. What another thing I would say, I did the very best job I could in the time I had to do it. But at the same time, I didn't approach it with the right, you could say almost with the integrity that I should have reported it. I should have approached it. I still did the best job I could in the limited time that I had, but there was no love for it. It was literally going through the motions, and that was a low point. And at the same time, it was a high point, because not only did I not enjoy doing it, not only did I not get all of the money that I was supposed to get for it, but it's backed up with the high point, which is that I'm actually right here talking to you from that house that I needed to put down payment on. So it's sad that it's completely commercial and not artistic, but it's practical, you know, and I've never done it before, and I've never done it since, and hopefully never have to. You know, so.
Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to switch it up, people. We're going to try and do something a little bit interesting. Uncle Floyd, have you got a pen, pencil, sketchbook at all to hand?
No, I don't.
If he doesn't,
I have my wife's notebook. I do remember this being mentioned before. Hang on, let me just see if there's any paper over there. No.
Yeah.
If there isn't, you don't have to put yourself out.
Yeah, do your thing, Uncle.
I actually, I'm no, and
That's
it's
okay.
really
That's
difficult
okay.
to draw stuff and
It
show
just
you.
means that you got to do the other task, which is even more painful for you. So you know that's not arduous on my end. So you know, that's fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to ask you a couple of quick fire questions.
Oh boy!
You've got about 10 seconds to answer each one. So we just want a couple of sentences, okay? Yeah. So,
sure.
You ready? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Can we start the clock, please? So, what makes a great artist?
Vision, integrity, and imagination. Yeah. And skill, you know.
Okay. 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 All right. How do you define your art style?
You've got to try and be honest. There are people that you're going to be influenced by, but at the end of the day, they they exist. You've got to do something that's yours, that is unique to you. No one else has lived your life, so everyone has that potential.
Right, what do you like drawing the most?
What do I like drawing the most? Okay, at the risk of sounding horribly sexist here, women.
What do you refuse to draw?
Anything that is contrary to my political beliefs.
Right, and you know what? We're a family of anarchists. We bend the rules, so we're gonna bend the rule here. You can answer the last one. Do you draw in silence or with music?
Do I draw in silence or with music? Okay, if I'm making it up as I'm going along, I have to work in complete silence. Once it becomes mechanical, once I've done the hard work, which is the thinking, and it then becomes technique, music, films, conversation, everything, as much noise as possible. I can't do the technical side in silence, but I have to think in silence.
So, do you prefer drawing on paper or digitally?
Okay, can
I hate drawing digitally.
Okay, cool. There you go, Leash. Sorry.
No, Nate, that was good. I was actually going to ask that last question because I think that was a good question about drawing on paper or digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want me to expand on that?
Okay, so
okay, to expand. Yeah. Okay, to expand on that a little.
Go ahead.
To me, okay, when you're drawing on paper, that was what you did as a child. That is what you wanted to do. That's what got you to do it in the first place. There is the drag of, there's the sound of pencil on paper. There is the sound that it makes. And when you're inking, there's the scratching of a dip pen. And there is the smell of oil paint and turpentine and whatever else it is that you use. It's tactile, it's real.
Wow.
And I said something, I work digitally as well, but I said something that offended a lot of people who work digitally. I didn't mean to offend them, but I mean it. When you are painting traditionally, you mix your colors. When you are painting digitally, you choose them.
Right.
And there's a difference. There's a huge difference. So I definitely feel more in tune and more in touch and more like an artist when I'm working with traditional tools and not digital.
Right.
But there's lovely digital work. There you go.
Excellent. Okay, so Uncle. Excellent. Just quickly, we're gonna try and get through the rest of the live stream because we've got so much. People are actually sending in questions. So we're gonna try and get through this as quick as possible.
Wow.
Who's your professional mentor?
You mean people who aren't related to me? Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I missed.
Yeah, people who aren't related to us are asking questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who's your professional mentor?
My professional mentor. I don't want to sound arrogant, but I don't think I have one.
Mm-hmm.
No. There are many artists who I admire, but there is no one directly that, I am a teacher right now. So there is no one mentoring me. It's more like, I am a mentor more than I am a mentee, so to speak, So.
Uncle Floyd, it's ironic that I'm going to ask you to do this, seeing as I had so much trouble finding the center of my camera. We are so handsome as Hughes men that we need to see all of your face. So can I just...
Yeah, I know, it's weird.
I seem to be... What we do. Right.
I seem to be moving.
Oh,
okay.
Please.
Yeah. So, right. So I would like to ask, what would you like to see change or develop in the industry? Because you've got, 30 years and behind you. What would you like to see change, if anything?
Okay. What is already happening, and I hate to just sound like I'm jumping in on a bandwagon, but it's absolutely what I've wanted to see most of my life reading this stuff is more diversity, and not just more diversity in the product, but more diversity in the creators, and that's already happening. It's happening a lot, because what was happening is that there were a lot of hand-me-downs. Characters that already existed are suddenly being made. Okay, let's make them black, make them gay, let's make them this, and it's hand-me-downs. I don't want to see hand-me-downs. I want to see new, creative characters by people who have a sense of empathy with those characters. They can relate to them. They don't just have them speaking in a way that they found they speak on TV shows. They speak in a way that's based on experience or something that they understand. I'm not saying that someone has to be black to write a black character. I'm not saying that someone has to be a woman to write a female character, but they certainly should have some empathy going on. And they should certainly know what they're writing about, as opposed to just making it up based on dialogue from a movie, which is what most of it is. So the changes that I wanted to see coming they're here, and they don't necessarily exist in mainstream comics, but they are here in the medium, and they're there in films. Look at the people making films. Currently on AMC, on Turner Classic Movies, there's a series called Women in Cinema, and it's about the fact that women have been making films since films started. But it's hard; they don't get the opportunities, and hopefully the walls are coming down now. And I'm slipping out of the picture again. How do I get straight again? How do I get back in? All right.
Excellent.
There it is. Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
There you go. before we go any, that's a good answer, by the way. Before we go any further, would you say that you are a proud Londoner?
A proud Londoner? Okay. Well, here's the sad bit. I've actually been in New York for longer than I was in London. I've been in New York now for 32 years. So that's longer than I was in England. I would say I'm a proud East Londoner.
Listen, let's go.
Walthamstow.
Come on, East London. Come on. Yeah, mate, it's a special place. So, all right, so listen, if that's the case, there are 32 boroughs in London, 32 boroughs. You have to name 10 boroughs in London, 10 London boroughs.
Okay, Waltham Forest.
Yeah.
In 1 minute.
Westminster, Waltham Forest.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Yeah, we didn't say go, so you can't use those ones now.
Wait.
Yeah.
When you say borough, so
you gotta wait.
Oh, I'm getting mixed up. Okay, go for it. Go for it.
So London boroughs, right? London boroughs. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Is Leighton one?
10.
Leighton, Leytonstone, Brixton.
No.
No. You said
No.
I can't say Walthamstow? Hey, it doesn't matter because we're all one. Londoners are all one. Yeah. Don't try and split us up. Don't try and divide us between north, west, east, and south and that stuff. We're Londoners, damn it.
No.
Oh wow.
No, you've got 24 seconds left. Come on, let's go.
No. You're trying to cause friction between my people. I'm not having it. I'm not having it. No, I refuse.
Oh,
I can't remember.
Okay. So you basically failed on that one, Uncle Floyd.
Oh man, you let the side down.
You failed on that one. I thought you was a proud Londoner. You let the side down, Uncle Floyd. But you know what? I would love
still
you
living
to
in
do,
London,
though.
I wouldn't have been able to remember.
I was actually excited about this one. But what I would, if is it possible for you to get someone to get one of your sketch pens and pads just quickly?
Yeah. Well, I'm at my wife's desk, so I have one of her notebooks, which are full, so she'd probably be annoyed if I drew in them. But it's a lined notebook, and it's a purple Sharpie pen.
Right.
Yeah, what am I supposed to do?
Okay, so Quay, watch this. You have got to draw me within within 1 minute. You've got to draw my face, this within 1 minute. Ready?
Okay, starting when?
Go.
You got to hold still, though, Alicia.
Okay. It's already started?
Started, yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's a really small screen, by the way, or your head is big, one or the other, I'm sure. You know. Okay. Okay.
Stop laughing.
And you're moving. And your eyes are closed. Okay. Let me make some excuses. Oh no, it's the screen's showing funny. Let me make some excuses. Oh no, it's the screen's showing funny. Okay.
This is gonna be good.
Hold still, Alicia.
Huh?
Okay, give you an extra 10 seconds. Time
done. That's 1 minute.
You have to put it right in the middle.
Where they go?
Wow.
The other way. Back. Bring it back a little bit. Is that a moustache?
No.
Is that a tash?
No.
Is that a moustache?
No.
I'm about to say that's no moustache in me.
Okay.
No way. I was like, whoa.
That's not
wrong
a moustache.
image.
We are live, people.
Nice one, Uncle. Thank you.
Am I getting paid for that?
Right. Okay. No, you can keep it, mate. It looks like a moustache. All right, so listen.
Yeah.
All right, so there's a couple more questions from just us, and then we're gonna go to the email questions from people. Okay.
Okay.
But in your line of work, networking is key. What's the most amazing connection that networking has brought you?
Okay. Hang on. Let me move this back. Okay. It hasn't. It hasn't because I started a company with my son, but it started at the same time that the COVID did. So we've not really embraced it the way we should have, and everyone's been busy, and he's just started college. But frankly, I have avoided. I'm trying to get straight again. It's just weird that I can't be in the middle of the screen. Let me see if it's. Oh, here I go.
I think you might have to move back. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I am not a huge fan of social media. And social media is one of the best things you can do in terms of networking. I find social media extremely frustrating and fleeting. And I think it's great. It's great because it helps people to be in touch with each other, which I appreciate, but it's also a really good medium for cowards to spout their nonsense and hide behind the format. You know, I dislike social media. I think it's great, but it's not for me. And it is what is really necessary in terms of outreach and communication. So hopefully, when we get a chance and we get up and running again, we will be able to embrace social media via him, because that's his generation. Social media is something that I still find is something I don't embrace too well. And look, I can't stay in the middle of the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
which in a way is a part answer to my next question, which is how have you seen the landscape change? So that's
Okay.
part of that, isn't it?
In what sense? I mean, do you mean in the medium, in the field, or in society?
Professionally.
Okay, professionally, what I think is kind of exciting about social media and what's going on now is that there was a time in which a lot of women in the creative field would have to use initials for their names so that people would not know that it was a female, right? Like Essie Hinton, who wrote The Outsiders, I believe Essie Hinton, I believe she wrote The Outsiders. If she had put down her name and it was a woman's name, people would have probably said, what do girls know about street gangs or anything like that? And, you know, that would be an immediate prejudice against her writing in that medium. And a lot of women probably had a hard time crossing over into other mediums like spies and thrillers and that if they'd gone under their names. So they write under those things. So there's a certain anonymity. With using social media, you can disguise yourself, you can be someone else, you can reinvent yourself, you can present yourself in a different way. And the communication thing, what's beautiful about it is I come from a generation in which if you wanted to do individual stuff, personal stuff that you own, you would have to print that stuff, which it takes up so much space, it costs so much money, printing, distribution, all of that stuff. Warehousing to store your stuff. Now, anyone can do it. All they need is to create work and put it up online. You know, and they have as much reach as anyone. They don't have to deal with evil distributors who want to pick up 60% of your earnings and things like that. You know, they can get directly to the market. And it's cheaper than printing costs, you know. So I like the fact that it has, in many ways, it has leveled the playing field. Creative.
It's a further reach. It's like a global reach as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I can't remember the name of the person who wrote a book called The Flat Earth, but that was one of the beauties of the Flat Earth is that if a fashion fad happens in New York, it's not going to take ages to reach Europe. It can reach Europe in 30 seconds. Just in less than 30 seconds. It's just boom, sending it there. So it's you know, we can see what's going on anywhere now. So that's one of the good things about it. Anyone can do it if the work is substantial. Yeah, that's what I think anyway.
Right. Okay, so we're gonna. This is what we're gonna do, Uncle Floyd. We are going to. So all the other questions, there's quite a few questions I've got to ask you in the email. But can we do it like a quick fire? Yeah. Can you answer them quicker? Is that okay?
I'm so excited about this bit.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So okay. Nate, you have one more question about. I think you have one more question, Nate.
I do. Can you ask it for me? I'm happy for you to ask it.
Yeah. So that's cool. How has the landscape changed for you since you started professionally?
Oh, we just
yeah, we just did that one, sort of. Yeah.
Oh, you just answered that just now? Okay, my bad. Okay, so let's go straight to the email questions.
Okay.
I was multitasking, and you know, you don't want to know about my multitasking. I'm great at it.
No, we know.
So we have a question here. I think whatever. I think you've already answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. It's by a gentleman, a great guy that I know who's in the film industry as well. His name's Francis, and he's asking, are you drawing on paper and scanning or straight to digital? But I think you kind of answered that question already.
Yeah. I always do it traditionally then scan it in and do it digitally.
Okay. Okay. All right. Nadia Hughes, by the way, this is a family member. What was Uncle Floyd's first project he worked on with Spike Lee?
It was a commercial for Burger King. I storyboarded a Burger King commercial featuring P. Diddy or Puff Daddy or whatever he calls himself now.
I think it's Diddy now. I'm not sure. Or has he gone back to Puff Daddy?
Okay,
P. Diddy, I believe.
That was my first
It's
collaboration
Diddy.
with Spike Lee.
Yeah. That was the Pepsi.
No, Burger King.
Burger King.
Was it the Pepsi commercial? Did you say?
Was that the one where he said, tell the
Burger King.
people
Okay.
that Diddy says that it's half price or something like that, and then puts it on
tell them Diddy sent them. Yeah, it was like it was.
Right.
Yeah, because it was at night. It was Burger King at night. You know, after hours type thing. Yeah, that was 2008 or so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Lancashire Lass is asking, did he have a chance to work on the video, the Michael Jackson video, "We Are the World"?
No, that was way before my time. I was no, We Are the World was early. I think that was 80s, wasn't it? Yeah. I had I didn't work on that.
It was, it was 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
But there was music videos
okay,
that
so
you did work on.
Francis is asking, does he ever sit?
Do I ever sing?
No. Oh, I actually stopped midway when Nathan was talking. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. So, does he ever sit with the director shot by shot, or always long distance?
Okay, that is a good question. Spike is in Manhattan, and he has an office in Brooklyn, so I can get from Spike by train or bus in like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. Or I can meet him at NYU in about probably the same time, taking a train into Manhattan. So that was working with him. When I did Antitrust, that was being shot in Canada. So I didn't work with the director. I worked with the art director, who's Catherine Hardwick, who's a director now. She did Twilight and a bunch of other films. She's actually extremely good. She did 13, which is a good film. Most of the time, it depends on wherever the director is. If the director is based in New York, I can sit down with the director and work with them.
Okay, when the deadline for a project was looming, what kept you going late into the night to finish the job in time? That was from Uncle Lorenko, by the way.
I'm not as young as I used to be. There was a time in which I could pull all-nighters with no problem. Now it's literally a case of it has to be done. So I just get on with it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. When did you know you had what it takes to make a career out of storyboarding? That's fine. Lee, a good friend of mine.
Okay. You know when someone pays you to do it. You know when someone likes your work. Like, for example, I worked on a film that was never made called Empire of the Lost Kings. And Russell Mulcahy, who directed Highlander. And he saw my storyboards, and that's why he wanted me to do the storyboards for Highlander, for that sequence. Anyway, that pre-production sequence. So it's nice when someone says, I want this person to do this job, you know.
Wow.
Okay. I'm gonna try and understand this question. It's not even a question. I think it's more of a statement. It says, after doing a poster for Woolworths, he turned down work for Barclays Bank due to them having ties to South Africa.
Okay, that's definitely only my brothers would know that, or my sister, right? Because I did a look. My mom worked for Wool.
Yeah, but
my mom worked for
yeah,
Woolworths.
but it.
I know that I don't know about turning down work for Barclays Bank, but I know that Barclays had ties to South Africa, so I didn't ever want to have an account there. You know. So that was just
okay.
Yeah, you've got to look. Any job you do, especially if it has your name on it, you're going to have to live with it. You can, money comes and money goes, and sometimes you need money really badly, but you have to think of what you're doing to get that money. And if you're going to regret it later on, don't do it. Don't do it. Find something else to do. Do something that you may find terrible, something that you don't want to do, something that's really hard work, but do something that you're going to be able to live with. If I can just interrupt myself very, very quickly. I worked for MTV, and when I was working for them, they kept me on. First of all, it was like, okay, you're on a week-to-week basis. And then that was really frustrating because you didn't know when you were going to be fired. Then they said, oh, you're on a day-to-day basis. And I was so embarrassed, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror because I'd allowed someone to put me in that position in which they were dangling a pay slip over me on a day-to-day basis. And I said I would never do that again. And I when I got another job for them, I said I'm going to do this entirely under my the way I want to do it. And I was doing a celebrity deathmatch. I was doing designs for celebrity deathmatch. Yeah. And I did it my way. I didn't let them hold that power over me. Because you have to do that. You've got to live with yourself, you know.
Okay. All right. Couple more questions. You said that you was resentful still storyboarding and not making films at your age. Who do you blame for this?
I blame 150% myself. And that's probably why you can't see all of me. I'm trying to still get in the middle. How do I get in the middle here?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there, right. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there is no one to blame but me. Yeah, there is no one to blame but me. I could say it was this and I could say it was that. But at the end of the day, I know that I have no one to blame but myself. I have, like most people, a lot of people have certain medical or psychological things, and I have certainly have some forms of attention deficit disorders, and I certainly am. I'm easily distracted, and I have the best idea in the world, and it's a brilliant idea, and I am so fired up to work on it. And I start working on it, and then another idea comes, and I start working on this other one, which is the best, greatest idea. Then another one comes along, which is why I've got a paper trail of unfinished ideas. They all have incredible potential, but I didn't see them through. And that's part of the problem. A lot of creative people have that problem. In fact, there's a lot of people who are creative that never even got started because of the distractions. They just get distracted by life, you know. Millions of people are like that, you know.
Okay, so great stuff. Would you consider doing some kind of exhibition of your work online or in person?
Yeah. I mean, I've had my work in fine art exhibits before. I've done it. I would like to take a year to just do a bunch of paintings specifically for an exhibition. In fact, I was this year, is it this year? Yeah, this year I wanted to have a kind of an exhibition I did a Snoop Dogg graphic novel for Marvel 25 years ago that never came out. So it's like 44 full color painted pages. And I thought, wow, that's a pretty good exhibit. If you've got like 44 pages plus the covers, plus some other art of stuff that's never been, and this was for Marvel Comics. And it's never been seen. It was never printed. And I thought that would make a great exhibit. And it was for this year.
Right.
And something happened this year that kind of stopped it. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, you know.
Great stuff. Okay, we have just one more question. I mean, there's so many more, but I've got to close now. So there's one more question for you. Have you done any graphic novels?
I've done one that I'll talk about,
already,
which was called 85. I did that with Danny Simmons. Danny Simmons is a great fine artist. He's a novelist. He's an entrepreneur. He's a really nice guy. He is the oldest of the Simmons brothers. Danny is the artist. Then there's Russell with Def Jam Records, etc. And then there's Run, as in Run DMC, the Reverend Run. So they're like a very talented family. And Danny and I collaborated on this. Danny wrote a novel called 85. And when Simon & Schuster wanted to do a graphic novel based on it, I got the chance to script it and illustrate it. And I actually got to like add bits of my own to it. I actually tried to make it different from the novel, because I thought, what's the point if you've read the book? What's the point of now reading it again, just drawn? Do something that's different, that's exclusive to the graphic novel. So I did my own thing with it. And that was, again, I didn't have the time to spend on it that I wanted to because of the deadlines. But, you know, it was fun to do.
There's one particular bit that I love in it where he's, I think he's high and the different fragments go across and around the page. That's something that really stuck out for me.
Yeah, well, that's the only stuff with nudity, Nathan.
It might be.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah. I'm wondering why it stuck out in your head, you know, like
you nasty man, nasty.
Well, on that, thank you, Uncle Floyd. Thank you. It's been great, but that's all the time that we have for today.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a pleasure. It was not as painful as I thought it might be.
But before we close, Uncle Floyd, do you?
Oh, we're not done.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not done yet.
Oh.
Well, no. Before we finish, though, Uncle Floyd, do you have any last words? Do you have any encouraging words for anyone? Just your last words? Anything you want to say?
Yes. It's something that I said to my students, like the week everyone started to be sent home from the COVID. When it all really started to kick in, I said this to my students back in March. I sent them an email that said this. So I don't know how many people are listening, and I know that this means the people who are listening and the 3 or 4 people who are not related to me that are listening and watching this, all of you, and pass it on if you want to. This COVID is obviously a terrible thing. A lot of lives are being lost. A lot of people are being horribly affected. They can't earn a living. It's destroying their lives in many ways. I have gained about, 25, 30 pounds in weight since it started. You know, it's affecting a lot of people's health. And it's affecting a lot of people psychologically as well. I mean, it's very damaging. The way you have to embrace this is that this is, in many ways, an opportunity that we have never been presented in our lifetimes. Those of you who have more time on your hands, this is the chance to learn a skill, learn a language, learn sign language, learn how to communicate with people better, get better at what you are not good at. If you're an artist and you can't draw hands, learn to draw hands. If you're, if you, whatever it is you want to do, this is an unprecedented opportunity to learn how to do it. And you should be better than you were. We should be able to emerge from the. People are saying, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. No, normal's not good enough. Normal wasn't that great to begin with. We must be so much better than we were. We have the opportunity to be better than we were. This has given us this great chance to exceed anything we dreamt we would ever have the opportunity to be. And it's right here waiting for us to do it. So we should grasp it.
Wow.
That's the most honest thing I can say.
Excellent.
Wow. So I got to ask you, Uncle Floyd, I want to know, the viewers want to know, where can we find your work? Where can we find more of your work? Okay, there is a website called Design in Hues. Hues is Hues, as in colors, Design in Hues. So it's right. So it's DESIGNINHUES.com. You heard it, guys.
I hope it works.
Design in Hues.
Yeah, HUES. Design in Hues. One word.com.
Yeah,
and hopefully
it's a yeah.
Yeah, it's a fun site. There's lots of exciting things to look at.
It's a great website. I love it.
Yeah, it's
well,
and it's me and my son, by the way. That's not my company. This is the company I own with Solomon.
Right.
So,
well, everyone, you know where it is. Get yourself down there. Uncle Floyd, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for doing this with us. And we hope you enjoyed it. We hope everyone really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks for asking me. Thank you. Just add a couple of zeros to the check.
Yeah.
The check that doesn't exist,
Okay, guys. Listen, viewers, don't forget to subscribe, to like, to share. If you want more content, you've got to share, you've got to like, you've got to press the notification bell if you want to get updates, okay? See you there, guys.
Okay.
Nate?
Right.
Are you sure you're still on the air? I can still hear you laughing.
Hey, guys. Is she? Alright, guys. I'm Alicia Hughes. And I look forward to us for you joining us again in the background for more live streams, okay? Don't forget, it's going to be great. It's going to be more. See you there. Peace and love.